We're now reconvening to public session. This time, roll call, please.
Trustee Ubaldi.
Here.
Trustee Fox.
Present.
Trustee Young.
Present.
Vice President Gardner.
Present.
President Gross.
Present. Next, for our Pledge of Allegiance, I see a distinguished colonel retired from the military, so I'm going to ask Colonel Nestor Liga to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Now we have a professional.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to
The republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you, Colonel Liga. Okay, moving on here. We have a report of actions taken in closed session. There were 3 things on the agenda. One was a property negotiation, and information was received, but there was no direction given. Second one was a conference with legal counsel with the existing litigation. Again, information was received and direction was given this time. Thank you. And the last one, we have an expulsion case number F2022APH02. And I need a motion. Yes.
I'll move to accept the recommendation for expulsion.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It's been moved in second. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ubaldi.
Aye.
Trustee Fox.
Aye.
Trustee Young. Vice President Gardner.
Aye.
And President Gross.
Aye. Thank you. Been unanimously accepted. And next we have adoption of board agenda. Can I have a motion? Oh, sorry. Trustee Ubaldi?
President Groves, I move that we adopt the agenda before us.
Thank you. There's a second.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ubaldi.
Aye.
Trustee Fox.
Aye.
Trustee Young.
Aye.
Vice President Gardner.
Aye.
And President Gross.
Aye, thank you. Next, we have recognition and presentation, adoption of Resolution 3054, recognizing October 22nd as United States Navy Rear Admiral Leonard C. Butch Delaga. Did I say that right? Oh, good, thank you. Day. And Superintendent Spaulding will be presenting this resolution.
Thank you. It's a great honor and with great excitement that the board will be recognizing United States Navy Rear Admiral Leonard C. Butch Delaga, native of Vallejo, and a Hogan High School graduate, class of '86 with honors, graduated from the Naval Academy in 1990. I've asked Dr. Ubaldi, Trustee Ubaldi, to read the resolution. Do you have it in front of you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I will hand it off to you then.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Spaulding. Vallejo City Unified School District Resolution 3054, declaring October 27th, 2022 as Rear Admiral Leonard C. Butch Delaga Day. Whereas United States Navy Rear Admiral Leonard C. Butch Delaga is a native of Vallejo, proudly attended Vallejo Public Schools, was a Hogan High School Navy Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps cadet, and graduated in 1986 with honors. Graduated in 1990 from the United States Naval Academy with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, and he also holds a master's degree in Engineering Management from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. And whereas Rear Admiral Delaga sees tours included division officer assignment aboard USS Los Angeles. Let me see here. USS Los Angeles submersible ship nuclear 688. Engineer officer of USS Rhode Island submersible ship ballistic nuclear 740B. Executive Officer of USS Cheyenne, SSN 773, and commanded the USS Charlotte, SSN 766, in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and he also served as Commodore of Submarine Development Squadron 12, Groton, Connecticut. And whereas Rear Admiral Dulaga shore and staff assignments included admissions officer at the United States Naval Academy, technical assistant to the Director of Naval Nuclear Propulsion, nuclear officer program manager, and a submarine officer community manager on the staff of the Deputy Chief of Naval Operation, that is manpower, personnel, training, and education, Commander Submarine Force, U.S. Pacific Fleet Prospective Commanding Officer Instructor, Submarine Command Course, Chief Program and Budget Branch on a Joint Staff, J8, Directorate Program and Budget Analysis Division, and Director Congregational Liaison Appropriation Matters Office on the staff of the Assistant Secretary of the Navy. And whereas Rear Admiral DeLonga's flag assignment included Commander, Undersea Warfighting Development Center in Groton, Connecticut, and most recently Commander Submarine Group 7 Task Force, 54 Task Force 74, leading undersea operations in both U.S. Central Command and U.S. Indo-Pacific Command areas of responsibility. And whereas Rear Admiral DeLonga completed 3 overseas deployments in the Indo-Pacific Command and 5 strategic deterrent patrols in the Atlantic, and the units he served with collectively earned 4 unit awards, 5 battle effectiveness awards, and U.S. Pacific Fleet's Arleigh Burke Fleet Trophy. And whereas Rear Admiral DeLonga is visiting his beloved native city of Vallejo on October 24th through the 28th, with numerous meetings with local governments, scholastic, non-public entities, and he will be honored at a Filipino-American Chamber of Commerce luncheon on Navy Day, October 27, 2022, in Vallejo. Now therefore be it resolved that the Vallejo City Unified School District Board of Education hereby declare October 27, 2022 as Rear Admiral Leonard C. Butch DeLonga Day to proudly recognize his outstanding achievements from his humble beginning in Vallejo, attending Vallejo City Unified School District schools, graduating from the United States Naval Academy, to becoming a Rear Admiral, that is 2 stars, in the United States Navy, and for being an outstanding role model for all of our students of what is possible with the power of purpose, passion, and perseverance. Mr. President, this is before us, sir.
Thank you.
And I'd like the honor to move that we adopt resolution number 3054, declaring October 27th as Rear Admiral Leonard C. Butch DeLonga Day.
There's a second.
I second.
So moved. Then you need a roll call vote on this. And
We'll bring this up.
oh, then you give it to, okay, good. Roll call vote?
Okay, trustee Ubaldi,
Aye.
trustee Fox,
Aye.
trustee Young, Vice President Gardner,
Aye.
and President Gross. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is Tony?
Like to join?
I think, all of us?
Present this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we signed it yet?
You got it, Justin? Okay.
I've got a little something I wanted to say. Good evening to the Vallejo Unified School District President Tony Gross, the trustees, and Superintendent Spalding. My wife and I are sorry that our beloved son, Butch, could not be here to accept this resolution in person. He asked us to express his utmost gratitude to you for adopting Resolution 3054, declaring the 27th of October Rear Admiral Leonard C. Butch DeLaga Day. He deeply thanks you and all of Vallejo for proudly recognizing his outstanding achievements from his humble beginnings here in Vallejo, attending the different schools, and also while he was a cadet. Leonard had mentioned how much that his instructors, his teachers, had meant to him, as that they provided a reliable moral base for him to help him in his future. His upbringing here influenced him to ensure that he had a positive how to set up positive potential goals, inspired him to be passionate about serving our nation, and he continually drives him to persevere despite the many different obstacles he has incurred while he was in the Navy, or while he's been in his Navy career. So on behalf of our family, we humbly thank you, and we look forward to celebrating the 27th. For Leonard. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there are a few of us here who will have the opportunity to meet him next week, and we're very much looking forward to that, and being able to see him in person next week. I appreciate his service to the country, and I know he couldn't be here tonight, but I know he's helped me keeping us safe. So thank you.
Okay. And thank you, Mr. and Mrs. DeLaga, for coming in and receiving that. Okay, next, we have Resolution 3055 in support of Prop 28, and again, that's Superintendent Spalding.
Thank you, President Gross. We had some conversations, kind of, online and offline, and had a presentation here or comments regarding the arts. And we want to bring to the board, probably in an upcoming meeting, a little more information about the arts, because there's some grants that are in the works right now that we're working on. We know that there's funding that came to us this year from the arts from the state that we're looking to allocate. And I think that we want to have a good conversation about what the future of the arts would be in our district, and how we best use limited funds and resources to try to really expand art programs for our kids. We know that we are in a very artistic community, that art brings about a lot of creativity and resilience in our kids, or a lot of kids who are pursuing that just kind of on their own. But I kind of stumbled across this. I think most of you have seen all the advertisements. That you'd think that the only thing that's happening in California this voting season is deciding whether it be online gaming or not. But this is an item, Proposition 28 is an item that has been really driven by the arts community in the state to basically set aside a designated portion of the budget outside of Proposition 98 that could be reliable and permanent, that would be specifically for funding arts programs in schools. Doing a little research on it, there's a great deal of support for it. There is no organized opposition. And so I thought this would give the board the opportunity, because I know this is a board that cares very deeply about the arts, This would give the board the opportunity to, to champion the arts and to champion this particular proposition and encourage the voters to, to look at this hard on November 8th and hopefully to vote in favor of this. So this is Resolution 3055, additional funding for arts and music education in public schools. Whereas all students have the right to an arts education that includes dance, media arts, music, theater, and visual arts taught by certified arts educators in partnership with community providers. Whereas arts education has the power to change students' lives and inputs student success in core academic areas. Whereas arts education is a key to reigniting students' learning in a post-COVID-19 world. Whereas arts education helps nurture healthy, inclusive communities where all points of view are respected. Whereas arts education experiences help students understand their own cultural roots and appreciates other cultural roots and traditions. Whereas arts education supports the social and emotional well-being of students and fosters a more positive, safer school environment. Whereas arts education is part of a well-rounded education for every student, as outlined in the Every Student Succeeds Act and in state law. Whereas California Proposition 28 provides additional and designated additional funding for arts and music in all public schools without raising taxes. Whereas a broad coalition of teachers, families, artists, entrepreneurs, community leaders, labor organizations, and others support Proposition 28, which faces no organized opposition. Therefore, be it resolved, the Vallejo City Unified School District urges voters to support California Proposition 28 in the November 8th, 2022 election to provide a designated funding stream for our arts education, resolved October 19th.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Spalding. And now, can I get a motion to adopt a resolution 3055?
I will move to adopt Resolution 3055.
There's second.
I'll second.
Been moved in second. Roll call vote, please.
Question, sir.
Oh,
if I
sorry.
may.
Trustee Ubaldi?
You would recall about 2 or 3 board meetings ago that the band director of Jesse Bethel came asking for support and encouragement to have our younger schools to have music so that there would be a pathway to the high school. Mr. Superintendent, is this resolution, would that impact that process, the request that the band director requested of us?
It would if passed by the voters, yes. This, there is some set-aside funding for the arts right now, but we don't know that it's really long-term. This would actually provide a long-term and reliable source. So yes, we believe that this would be a great asset to the district in providing further resources for arts education across the board.
Thank you so much.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ubaldi?
Aye.
Trustee Fox?
Aye.
Trustee Young? Vice President Gardner?
Aye.
President Gross?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been unanimously accepted. Next, we have presentation from 2 schools, Glen Cove and Hogan Middle School. So, because the young, we go young first, then we go. So Glen Cove, you guys please come on up and tell us what you're all about. All those smiling faces.
Thank you so much. Good evening to our governing board, President Gross. Good evening, Superintendent Spalding. My name is Christine Lucero, and I am the proud principal of Glen Cove Elementary School. I have with you here just a handful of the amazing students that we have at Glen Cove Elementary. So, we wanted to share a couple of things about our school with you, kind of reintroduce ourselves to you now that we're able to gather in person and do several things this year compared to last year. We started our school year this year with our staff really focusing in on the quote, "Be here, be you, belong. This school belongs to all of us." And so we really are embracing this from staff to students to our family and our community. And so I hope that you also join me in knowing that Glen Cove Elementary is a place for you as well. This is a picture of our dedicated staff. We have brand new staff shirts. If you would like one, please send me an email. At Glen Cove, we have 3 personal standards that we follow. Make good decisions, solve problems, and show respect. These are our 3 personal standards that really carry through everything that we do, whether it be our academics, our relationships with our friends, our interactions with our adults and our teachers. Our 3 personal standards really mean everything to us. So with our 3 personal standards, each month, our teachers nominate a student who exemplifies one of our characteristics. And in September, our Students of the Month were recognized for making good decisions. So in front of me, I have, in total, we had 30 students who are Students of the Month for September, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them here tonight. And I'm going to have each one of them just introduce themselves, tell you who they are, what grade they're in, and who their teacher is.
Hi, I'm Amaya. I'm in 2nd grade and my teacher is Miss Payumo. Hi, my name is Rylan Nubla and I'm in kindergarten.
Who's your teacher, Rylan?
Mrs. Stipe.
And what's your name?
My name is Clyde and I'm in Miss Gilm's class in C2.
Hello, my name is Julio Espino. My teacher is Miss Malia, 5th grade.
Hi, my name is Eliza Mendoza.
And what grade are you in, Eliza? What grade are you in? Kindergarten?
Kindergarten.
Hi, my name is Queen Laura Gibson, and I am in 5th grade, and my teacher is Miss Brown.
Hi, my name is Riley, and I'm in 2nd grade, and my teacher is Miss Baker.
Thank you. And 2 of my Students of the Month actually have a couple of things that they would like to share with you about their experience at Glen Cove. Rylan, do you want to go first? No? Okay. So how about this, Rylan? I'm going to ask you. Rylan has been preparing her speech for you all this evening. She's been working very hard and practicing at home. And so we have some sentence starters for her that she's been working on. So, Rylan, can you tell me, what are 2 things that you love about school?
Playing at recess and painting in class.
And what are your 2 favorite subjects in school? I'm sorry, that wasn't our sentence starter, was it? What are 2 things that you enjoy doing, or what do you love about Glen Cove? Thank you, Rylan. That's all right. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Queen.
Good evening, board members. My name is Queen Laura Gibson, and I am in the 5th grade at Glen Cove. I'm going to tell you about a day in the life of a Glen Cove hawk. As soon as I wake up, I get ready, then I head to the bus. When I get to school, I have breakfast in the cafeteria, and then I go to class. The first thing we do is a little bit of morning warm-ups, and then we check in on how we are feeling. Then we move into ELA. I like to do English because I think it is very interesting to learn about new facts. I like reading because it gives you a chance to use your imagination. Then we do math. I like math because I like to do division. After recess, I hang out with my friends and play at the wellness center. We have lunch and finish out the afternoon. I also like to help people because that is what we do at Glen Cove. We help each other, and that is a day of a Glen Cove hawk.
Thank you so much. And again, I just wanted to showcase some of our amazing students at Glen Cove. One of the other things, the last thing I do want to share with the board this evening, we are really focusing on our family engagement and parent engagement nights. So on Halloween, Monday, October 31st, Glen Cove Elementary and our PTA will be holding our first ever trunk or treat event in the Glen Cove Elementary parking lot. This will be from 4 to 7 p.m. We are going to be blocking off our side parking lot, and we have space for 26 vehicles to come decorate their cars and pass out candy to students in the community walking by for Halloween. We will have some activities for the students to do on the grassy field, and I invite our board members and district office to join us at our trunk or treat event if you are available. Please just, you know where to find me. I'm at Glen Cove Elementary, and we welcome you to join us at our first ever trunk or treat this year. Thank you so much for having us, and we are happy to be here and happy to be Glen Cove Hawks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again to you and all your 7 Glen Cove Hawks. Kids, you guys did a real great job. Okay. And next we have Hogan. So.
Good evening to the entire governing board, President Gross, and Superintendent Spalding. I am the proud principal of Hogan Middle School. And joining me, I have our amazing teacher, Ms. Taylor, who teaches 6th grade. She's awesome, teaches math and science, sorry about that. But she also is teaching our, where is she? She behind me. Come up for a minute. I'm small. So Ms. Taylor is, once again, is our 6th grade math and science teacher, and alongside of that, she is teaching leadership. And so this school year, but she's also, I want to just give a shout out to her. She's also our school-wide kind of cheerleader in terms of activities. She's awesome and amazing. But for the next few minutes, we have some amazing young people in our leadership class, and they have designed and organized this whole little presentation. So we're going to stand out of the way, and they're going to shine.
Hello, my name is Janine. Hello, my name is Jalen. We would like to announce why we like Hogan Middle School.
Could we use the microphone, please?
Hello, my name is Kaylee.
Hello, my name's Mateo.
Hello, my name is Roman.
Hello, my name is Janine.
Hello, my name is Jalen. We would like to announce why we like Hogan Middle School. I am an 8th grader from Hogan Middle School. My favorite thing about Hogan is the learning.
I'm also an 8th grade. Okay. I'm also an 8th grader from Hogan Middle School, and one thing I like about it is the school activities we do.
I am also an 8th grader from Hogan Middle School, and my favorite thing about Hogan Middle School is the teachers there.
I am an 8th grader from Hogan Middle School, and some things I enjoy about Hogan are its after-school activities, which include boys and girls basketball, volleyball, and dance.
I am also an 8th grader. My favorite thing at Hogan is that I like all the teachers that I built relationships with and all my classmates that I built relationships with too.
The next topic I would like to discuss is how Hogan celebrates PBIS. Every month, we hold a student meeting about various days to celebrate within that month. As well, get input from our teachers.
For example, we celebrated National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th. We celebrate it by making daily announcements on the intercom, celebrating school halls with posters, and playing Latinx music in the quad during lunch every Friday.
Next up is leadership. During leadership class, we make posters about the PBAS calendar, district events, and school activities. Special events. At our school, we have special events such as school dances, contests, and Spirit Week, and so on. This month, one of our special events is having a haunted house. Instagram. We have an Instagram where we post pictures about what's going on in the school. That means if we have Monday off, you'll definitely see a post about it. Or for Spirit Week. For my post I made our class, I took a picture of our class making Halloween posters.
This is a photo of me and Mateo. We are news reporters because every Friday we film a weekly news report about what's upcoming. So on Mondays, the rest of the students can be informed. For example, we give school advice.
This is a photo of our leadership class showing pride by celebrating Crazy Hair Day because every month we decide a Spirit Week. This is a photo of a big poster that the Hogan kids signed for National Teacher Day. They wrote little messages letting the teacher know we love them.
Thank you for listening.
And thank you guys for informing us. Thanks again, Hogan Middle School. Okay. That's what the board likes to see, our kids coming in and giving us the news firsthand. Fresh. Okay, next we have, we're honoring, I knew him personally. He worked with me a few years ago, a former staff member who passed away, a very beloved man, great singer, just a great person, Eugene Cole. So Superintendent Spalding, I'll let you help us with this.
Thank you, President Gross, and I will try to do him justice. I've heard so much about him in the last few weeks. As is our practice from time to time, and it's a sad but I think an important practice that we honor those who have gone on, but those who have been with us and those who have given us great service, and sometimes very sadly we've had to do this with students as well. In this particular situation, we want to honor tonight and have a moment of silence for Eugene Cole. And I have a few items I just want to say, and I was able to learn, to take some of this from the program that came from his celebration of life a few days ago. Eugene Dwayne Cole was born on December 16th, 1959 to Eugene Cole and Linda Paget in Jacksonville, Florida. Eugene enjoyed life with his family and personified that Southern hospitality where everyone is loved, welcomed, and fed. In 1977, the family relocated to Vacaville, California, joining his uncle and aunt, Raymond and Cynthia Paget. Eugene matriculated through Vacaville schools, graduating from Vacaville High School in 1978. Eugene continued his education at Solano Community College. He worked at C&H Sugar, Kmart, Safeway, before joining the Vallejo City Unified School District in 2007 as a site safety supervisor. While working for the school district, Eugene gave his all to every young person with whom he came in contact. He loved those who were struggling and hurting with the most difficult times in their lives. In our district, he made an enormous impact on students and his fellow staff members, and he was beloved and greatly appreciated by all. Many know Eugene through his gift of a beautiful singing voice, and he was an accomplished and renowned gospel singer. His faith was very important to him, and he lived out his faith in his work to help young people. It is with great sadness that we mourn his passing, but with great gratitude that we honor his service to our district and to our students. Please join me for a moment, join me in a moment of silence to honor the life and service of Eugene Cole. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Spalding. Again, we would definitely miss Mr. Cole, Mr. Eugene Cole. Okay, next our forum.
President Gross, if I may, I'd like to add something.
Certainly.
When I was in college, I used to attend his father's Christian retreat, and he sang just as glorious as his son. And when I came to Vallejo and I heard this young man sing, I said, "That couldn't be Gene." And I found out later on that was the son. And they have similar voice, vibrato, and just wonderful, wonderful experience. And it's a joy to have his father lead us into singing back when I was my younger years. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ubaldi. Next up, we have our forum. Anything from VEA?
No VEA, VSMA, or CSEA tonight.
Okay, then we can move to district advisory committees.
I think we were going to have a student report. Dr. Santos, are you aware of a student report? No, I think Chris Waldron told me that I thought we were going to have somebody from Vallejo High.
Is there?
Let's see.
While they're looking, anything from district advisory committee?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
VSMA.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So we do have a report from VSMA. Okay, thank you. I had to take care of those kids first, I understand.
Good evening again to the entire governing board, President Gross and Superintendent Spalding. So I am in my role now of president for VSMA. Just wanted to give a couple of highlights as we're entering week 10 for this school year for students and staff. Certificated managers just completed our site-based professional development, which was held on Monday, October 10th, which was non-student day, and various topics throughout the district was around SEL, ELD training, our instructional priorities, and of course, improving literacy. We are also really excited about our completion of our first rounds of learning walks, which included 10 schools. Hogan was actually one of the schools of the 10, and in total was 52 classrooms with the purpose of collecting trend data across implementation of our instructional priorities. So we're just completed the first round, and I think round 2 should be like December. Yeah, so excited about that work. And then, of course, we have a few schools that are wrapping up their SIPSA, our Single Plan of Student Achievement. And then finally, we just want to give a big shout out to our classified managers who continue to be working really hard in their various departments. And our classified managers in our business department is really working hard on their first interim report that's coming up for this December. So this completes our updates for this month, and so I'll be back next month. If it's not myself, it'll be one of the executive boards. Dr. Prangan may report out, or Ms. Robbins, Julie Robbins, our secretary, may. So that's it.
I want to thank, and we do, as a board, we do appreciate the information that you and all other organizations bring to us, because for us, that's kind of the first line of news that we get for what's going on out there. So
Sure.
we really appreciate the information that you guys bring to us.
Good. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too now. Okay, so student report, did we find the student? Okay.
Do have a student report. Thank you. She should be here any moment.
Hi, my name is Natalie Perez. I'm a grade 12 student and the president of Vallejo High School Student Body Association. Vallejo High recently celebrated Spirit Week. Thank you. Vallejo High recently celebrated Spirit Week, and at the end of Spirit Week, we had our rally and homecoming dance. This is the first rally and dance since 2022, so our seniors were the only ones who had this experience. But it was still a good turnout. Next event, well, we're planning our next event to be Club Rush in November. This will give the clubs the opportunity to showcase themselves and recruit more members. Vallejo High School Skills USA chapter officers attended an interactive online chapter training this morning. The chapter officers consist of 6 students and 1 advisor. It is a national training which involves students and advisors from different parts of the United States. We looked at the importance of self-motivation, communication, teamwork, planning, organization, and management. We have been having a monthly Vallejo Tech Talk where individuals from the tech industry speak with our students. And last Friday, Vallejo High School celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month with a cultural performance at lunchtime. A group of dancers performed to a couple of songs. And as a Hispanic myself, I thought it was really nice of our school to do something like that in recognition of us. And I hope that we can keep the same energy for the rest of our ethnic groups on campus. And yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't leave yet, come back. That's okay. We're gonna ask the board members if they have any questions for you, because I know they're happy to see you also. Now, you're student body president at Vallejo High?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Trustees, any questions? None? They were so, one,
How many students attended the dance?
I'm not sure, but it was a lot, because we
lot?
haven't had one in a while.
Yeah. So where was it held?
In Batari Gym.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Is it?
I do have a question,
okay,
sir.
go ahead, trustee Uvalde.
You had a Spirit Day,
A Spirit Week.
Spirit Week, so what activities took place?
Well, we got to dress up each day as different things, and then for the homecoming candidates that were running, every day at lunch we had to compete to show ourselves to the students so they could get to know us. We did tricycle race, spelling bee, balloon pop, lip sync battle, stuff like that. It was really fun.
Who were the homecoming queen and?
Me.
Oh.
I won.
You heard it say they had to get ready. He didn't catch that one. That's all right, though.
Well, I caught something, but I wasn't sure. That clarified it. And who was the queen, the king?
Brandon Nunes, I think. Yeah, I don't know him.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members? Okay. Thank you again for coming in, and come back and see us anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear. The king and queen, they don't do those pairs anymore. They come single. They do the single thing. Okay. Next, we have so we have community members. And the first name I have is Mr. Driver.
Thank you, board members, President Gross, Superintendent Spalding, Nick Driver, Superintendent of Griffin Technology Academies. I told you last time I was going to be reporting out on our accountability measures as part of our MOU. I understand you have a very busy agenda tonight, so we'll be doing that next week. And our Chief Accountability Officer, Brent Zionic, will be with me, so I'll be happy to introduce him at your special meeting next week. Instead, I want to report on some exciting facilities developments. I mentioned last time we had already finished all of the midterm or short-term upgrades at Two Positive Place, our main MIT high school campus. And Mr. Romeo and I have scheduled some time next month for him to do his walkthrough to make sure that everything is in order as we believe it is. And that'll satisfy that piece of the MOU. But as that campus is finished with its short-term improvements, of course, we're really excited about the long-term improvements as well. And we received recently our final approvals from the DSA, the Division of the State Architect, to move forward with the permanent campus. We will break ground this winter after we receive all the final approvals from the other alphabet soup agencies, the OPSC, the CDE, and the CSFA. And I can I can tell you those names, but they're not that interesting. I'll just leave them as acronyms. We're really excited that we are moving forward and in partnership with you. We are also happy to work through with Ms. Loza on the business side. Our financials, we just had a report done that I believe you were all copied on, a deep dive from an agency you hired to look at our financials. We're excited to move forward in conjunction with VCUSD on that piece of what we also need for our final approval of our Prop 51 funds, and that is a certificate of good standing. As we move towards a final campus or a permanent campus at 2 Positive Place, we also just broke ground on our Griffin Academy 233 Hobbs Avenue site last week for interim housing to expand that campus to allow more students to attend. So that construction is just started a week ago, and it's almost finished. So we have 3 more weeks just before Thanksgiving. That should be done, allowing a greater number of students to have more space for the rest of this year as well as next year, as we get ready to use our portion of Measure S funds for a permanent campus for Hobbs Avenue, Griffin Academy Middle School. So that's my update. It was a facilities-heavy update. Didn't get a chance to talk about programming. We're doing a lot of exciting things on the academic side, but I will leave that for next week. I know you've got a big agenda tonight, so thank you for allowing me this update. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Driver. Okay. I'll let it finish playing out this little tune there. Okay. Now, next we have Ms. Hazel Wilson. Oh. One moment before you start.
Having technical issues.
No problem. Understood. No problem.
Ready?
Oh, okay. Superintendent Spalding, President Gross, and to the Governing Board. I am pleased to talk to you this evening about high school voter registration. Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, Kappa Beta Omega chapter, is pleased to announce that on Friday, October 19th, we will register students at Vallejo High School and John Finney. On Monday, October 24th, we will register students at Jesse Bethel High School. We will register students ages 18 and above, and pre-register students age 16 to 17. Voter registration is important to our organization because by us registering voters, we now have a member of our organization as Vice President of the United States. I would like to thank the principals and staff for their support of our endeavor. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No question, but I really appreciate your organization doing voter registration. We do have some questions, Ms. Wilson. Trustee Young? Light? Yeah.
Who is also a member of our organization. You got that right.
How many did you register today? Do you have that number?
No, we're registering on this Friday.
Oh, okay.
And on
Okay.
next Monday.
Okay.
And Monday is the final date to register. So.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
You're recruiting new registration. How many do you tend to average students?
We don't know yet. The principals are working closely with us. We hope to do most of it online.
Oh.
We will offer paper registration, but we hope to do most of it online. They bring their Chromebooks, and then we work from there. They sign in to the county office of registers of voters and do their registration. And we help them and guide them but of course, we don't in any way influence party or anything like that. There are guidelines that we must follow, and we do.
Listen, if I recall, we used to do that in the past, did you not? That's what I was asking, how many
It's
did you?
been a while since we've done this. Mhm. But we feel it's very important that we do it.
Trustee Young?
How do you acquire the names?
The schools just announce it. We don't in no way influence. The schools will announce it, and the students will come at the lunch period and register. And it's, voluntary. And we just provide the service. If anyone is doing it by paper registration, then we have to ensure that we get it back to the registrar's office. But we're hoping that most of them do it online. Thank you.
Thanks for that wonderful service you're providing to the student, Ms. Wilson. Okay, next we have our consent items.
Can I speak to one item just really quickly? It won't be necessary to pull the item, but I just wanted to point out to the board, there was an errata, which means an error, on item 7C that initially when we posted it, it did not contain the attachment for the actual contract with School Services of California for the service we're getting. We have since corrected that. It is now in the agenda, and we also have paper copies in the back, so the board is able to vote on this. And this is the item that is one of the items that we have with Griffin Technology Academy as part of the kind of last chance agreement, that there would be special education, kind of an assessment and audit of their programs, and that somebody would be going in there and kind of taking stock of how they're doing with special education compliance in the wake of all the things that happened last year.
Thank you, Superintendent Spaulding. Okay, for consent for consent items, can I get a motion for acceptance?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, President Gross.
It's been moved and second to accept consent items 7A through 7H. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ubaldi.
Aye.
Trustee Fox.
Aye.
Trustee Young. Vice President Gardner.
Aye.
And President Gross.
Aye, thank you. It's been unanimously accepted for our consent items 7A through 7H. So moving on to action items, we have our strategic plan. Superintendent Spaulding.
Thank you, President Gross. So this is really the culmination of over a year's worth of work for the board. And I do want to point out that every portion, every component of the strategic plan has already been approved by this board, pretty much in chunks. First the work that was done to come up with the to come up with the pillars and the tenets, and then, as the board will recall more recently, work that the board did to come up with a mission statement, a vision statement, and core beliefs. But what this represents is the publication, what it would actually look like. We've taken this to an expert graphic artist, and we've provided a number of photos, and I believe that all the photos were taken by Selena Bagiao, who is our new public information officer. Hard to believe she's only been here since March. Sometimes it feels like she's been around for a long time, but remember, she's just been here since March. And so has been doing a lot of work on this. Can we just slide through? So you've all seen this in your packet, but I just kind of wanted to show it off here for the viewing public. And so the first part is, there's a cover page, and then there's a little bit about how the plan evolved and how the strategic plan advisory committee worked on this. And then pictures with photos of our students with the vision, the mission, the belief statements. And you'll recall that the we believe and we stand for statements started with a very strong and powerful statement about equity. And then the pillars that came, each pillar, equitable opportunities, equitable outcomes, and the tenets for each one of those. Safe and supportive learning environments, which is pillar 2, and the tenets for those. Pillar number 3, which is a vibrant culture of teaching and learning. And then pillar number 4, community-centered education. There was one item that we kind of called pillar 5 for a while, but it's not really so much a pillar as it is a project and something that we want to aim for, and that is the portrait of a VCUSD graduate and what it would be, what it is we're looking for our graduates to have in terms of knowledge, skills, and attitudes as a result of going through our school system. This is still a project we still need to work on, and this is going to take us a little bit while, but we're very proud of this. We're very proud of this document. We can't wait to put it on shiny paper and in a little booklet that we can start to distribute. Do we have the document, the timeline? Yeah. So this is kind of a strategic plan rollout. You know, the first thing, just to review very quickly, remember that the process kind of began in earnest at fall of 2021. The SPAC, which is the Strategic Plan Advisory Committee, was assembled and met 4 times between December 2021 and February 2022. The board has acted on all the pillars and tenets. The strategic plan this summer developed the mission statement, vision statement, core beliefs and values. The components of the strategic plan have all been discussed. I think I've said all these things. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything. But this is the timeline. So this is what we're proposing as a timeline for what occurred. So we have the creation of the strategic plan. Really, all the strategic plan components have been adopted by the board. This is actually what we will be producing and publishing that will go out, put it on our website, and we'll also have paper copies for people to see. If you look at the strategic plan rollout, we talk about phase 1, the adoption of the strategic plan by the Board of Education. You've done that. Phase 2 is the planning to plan, commence work, and portrait of graduate. So there are some things that we still need to do in the implementation of this. One is to complete that portrait of a graduate. So we describe what it is we want for that profile for the graduates from schools in our district, and also to do some work around how do we measure these. You might remember from, especially those of you who were able to attend the SPAC meetings, we talked about different kinds of data, that there's kind of satellite data, which is what we usually pay attention to in terms of state test scores and suspensions and expulsions and attendance, all those kinds of things. But there's also street data. What is the experience of our students? What is the experience of our families? And as we look at each one of these pillars and each one of these tenets, we want to develop kind of a metric set that would tell us how we're progressing on each one of these items. And so that's work that we'll be undertaking this year to develop the metrics so that when we're coming back to you in board meetings, how are we doing that with that, how are we doing with, that pillar about a rich and vibrant culture of teaching and learning, that we can actually have data and information that we would give you that we've decided on is going to be representative data that's going to tell us if we're doing better or not. Phase 3 is, working with educational partners and engagement. I think we'll be rolling this out a lot and pretty aggressively in the next couple of months, but I think we also want to recognize that it's hard sometimes to reach all of our groups and all of our stakeholders during the holiday season. So I think that we're going to really try to hit it hardest after we get back from the holiday season, but that's not stopping us from putting this thing out now. And then phase 4, provide recommendations, strategic plan and evaluation, and complete the work of the portrait of a graduate that we've been looking to wrap up at the end of the school year. So that's really kind of a 30,000-foot view of how this would be rolled out and implemented. But what I'm looking for tonight is an approval of this actual document that we're sending out. I've talked to some of you have been able to see it and give me some feedback. It's a really beautiful document with outstanding photos and graphics, and so we're looking for a motion and a second and an approval of the document that we just showed a few minutes ago.
Okay, thank you for the explanation, Superintendent Spalding. Are there any questions or comments from members? Oh, okay, so we have Trustee Ubaldi? Oh, okay. Pardon? Yes, okay, thank you. Trustee Gardner?
I think that the plan looks great. One of the things that I would like to see as a phase, or maybe it's the next steps, is tying it to the LCAP. So the whole process of the vision statement, the mission statement, the core values, how that's going to be tied to the LCAP, so that we have a total document and a total plan. So that LCAP, you can look at one of the actions taken and you can tie it back to one of the pillars or one of the mission statement or vision statement or whatever, but you can tie it back to the strategic plan. So there's continuity between the plan and the LCAP. It should be viewed almost as one and the same.
And that was always the plan. I apologize that we weren't very explicit about that in our timeline, but that was always, yes, you're correct. That was always the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Gardner. Trustee Ubaldi now.
President Gross, I do excited about the plan that we have, a strategic plan. But I just want to caution in regards to what we heard last night at the regional meeting, CSBA region meeting, that the concern about the fiscal support, that there's really deep concern about the fiscal reality of what we are experiencing from the state. That we're $1 billion something short currently from the general fund. And so I just want to make sure that when we work on this, that we definitely have a priority that's set to make it happen, but being aware of the realities of the challenges of the fiscal challenges that we have ahead of us. And if there's nothing else, I'll be happy to move that we adopt this resolution 3055.
I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved in second. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ubaldi.
Aye.
Trustee Fox.
Aye.
Trustee Young.
Aye.
And Vice President Gardner.
Aye.
President Gross.
Aye. Thank you. It's been unanimously accepted. So next we have CalSTRS, the request for separation again. I don't know if I should be worried about people retiring or people coming back, and it's just like, wow.
We want them back.
Yes. Good evening, Board President Gross, Vice President Gardner, governing board members, Superintendent Spalding, and staff. Yes, we do want them back. We appreciate that CalSTRS is willing to work with us. So I respectfully ask that you approve this request so that we may move forward and submit this information to CalSTRS for final approval.
Are there any questions? Any questions from the board? If not, then can we get a motion for acceptance?
I'll move to accept.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second made. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ubaldi.
Aye.
Trustee Fox.
Aye.
Trustee Young. Vice President Gardner.
Aye.
And President Gross.
Aye. Thank you. It's been moved, second, and unanimously voted on. Just one quick, Dr. Patrick.
Yes.
We do. There's no way we can get no. Okay.
We are required by the state to bring it to you every single time.
Every single
So
time.
this is just a new staff member that's coming out of retirement,
Right.
a former retiree who is returning in under the 180 days.
80 days.
So if you go past, so anybody that comes back in January, you'll just see them on the list that we've gone through the process. They'll be on the personnel regs. But anyone that is returning under that time we have to go through this process for
Okay.
every single person.
Well, like you said, it's good that we have the ability to go get them, to bring them back.
Yes,
So,
we're happy they're coming back to help
I
us.
appreciate that. Okay, then, thank you for
Thank
the
you.
information. And now you have the next one too, so. Go
Yes,
ahead.
I do.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure that I'm following the order, because my order is not yours. Okay, here.
Just really quickly, if I, because I know one of these items had a clerical error for the AB 1200.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that that's noted, that in the packet, what they had a clerical error. So we probably need to correct it as they vote on it. But also that error has been corrected, it is posted to the agenda, and it is available for people to review. Is that this one, is it CSEA or is it the VSMA one? Do you remember?
I believe it's the VSMA.
Okay,
Correct,
I just want to
Rosa,
make
is it-
sure.
Is it VSMA?
Okay,
Okay. What you should feel very good about is that the number that is in the packet, the new, calibrated formula actually makes those amounts less. So it's actually more of a savings for the district, and we'll update that information for you. So we're going to start with the next request is that the board approve the memorandum of understanding between the Vallejo City Unified School District and Chapter 199 CSEA. This is a correction for minimum wage. As you know, every year the minimum wage continues to increase. And so while we were making sure that new hires were not being paid under the minimum wage, as a result of our negotiations with CSEA, we have corrected the salary schedule to now reflect what we were actually doing, placing people higher. But now we have made some adjustments to those lower roles on the salary schedule to make sure that we're exceeding the minimum wage requirement so that we're not having to do this again next year. So 2 years out, we'll be back with more updates, but the result of the negotiations is how we got here. So we're asking for your approval.
Thank you. Trustee Ubaldi.
If there are no questions, I'll be happy to move on this request. That it also includes CSEA, if I recall, and that it exceeds the minimum wage. Is that correct, Dr. Patrick?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. That's my motion, sir.
Okay, thank you. The motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been motion and second. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ubaldi,
Aye.
Trustee Fox.
Aye.
Trustee Young,
Aye.
Vice President Gardner,
Aye.
and President Gross.
Aye. Again, it's been voted and accepted in totality. So next we have,
A point of privilege, President Gross, before you move to the
yes, sir.
information item. On my motion that for the strategic plan, I quoted resolution, and please, that is an error. My motion was strictly on strategic plan, but my eyes went someplace else.
And I think Rhonda picked that up anyhow, so she
Okay.
caught it. She got it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Now, next, Dr. Patrick, you have an MOU for VSMA.
Yes, as you recall,
Happy news?
Yes. So this item, we've made some adjustments. We've aligned salaries and changed job titles for our program specialists to program managers, and 2 assistant directors, 1 assistant director of operations and maintenance. And so we are asking for your approval of those changes.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from the board? If no questions, okay. If not, can I get a motion?
Information, President Rose.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just thought of it last minute. Have we had any concerns from other significant staff groups about the possible changes here? Any oppositions or support? Okay.
No, not at all. If you recall, the change for the program managers was in the report, the special education report. I think that came out earlier in 22 or the fall of 2021, the recommendation that we make some adjustments. So this is responding to that regarding the program managers. And for the two assistant directors, they are longstanding members of the team, and their responsibility and their work aligned to an assistant director. So we've not received any opposition. At least none has been brought to me.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent, Assistant Superintendent. With that in mind, sir, I would like to move that we adopt this item before us.
Okay, so there's been a motion to accept the MOU for CSEA, for VSMA. Is there a second? It's been moved and second. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ubaldi.
Aye.
Trustee Fox.
Aye.
Trustee Young.
Aye.
Vice President Gardner.
Aye.
President Gross.
Aye. Again, this in totality has been accepted, so thank you again, Dr. Patrick.
Thank you.
And keep on doing the good work there. Keep us happy. Thank you. Keep us financially happy too. Next, we have information on for CAASPP, CAS, and that's Ms. Summers will bring us that information in progress.
Thank you, President Gross. Actually, Assistant Superintendent Summers and I are going to kind of tag team this a little bit because there are a couple of items we want to bring to you. So this is a little later than we normally, some of you will have to go way back in memory to when we bring CASP information because we haven't given the CASP test since 2019. And we had the interruption of, 3 years of pandemic, but gave an administration in 2022, which would have been about last April and May. And then we were given information to our district. Typically, it's called embargoed information, which means the California Department of Education sends it to you and says, don't tell anybody. But they want you to analyze it internally and to make some decisions and to, kind of prepare you for, when it does become public and how you will describe it and, how you will share it with your board. So this has gone on, and we don't know when it is they're finally going to lift the embargo. When we're seeing a lot of our other districts in the state already releasing their information and feeling like we need to release it to you as well, because we don't want you to feel like we're sitting on it, unduly, that you need to know, what the information is. Because tonight's meeting was one that we were pressing to kind of get a lot of business done, and we still have kind of a big item ahead of us, I asked Sherry to kind of give us a bird's eye view, really kind of 30,000 feet on what's in there. But we were also spending a little bit of time with the California Collaborative for Excellence and Educational Excellence, and they brought us some other kinds of ways of looking at the data, and we want to share some of that with you as well. But I think, Sherry, maybe I'll have you kind of go through the PowerPoint at first, and then I'll bring forward that other, kind of more detailed data.
All right, good evening. Good evening, President Gross, Vice President Gardner, Superintendent, and community. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah, it's been a while since we have had new data to share with the board about CASP, and so I wanted to start with a little bit of some background about CASP. And this assessment was first administered back in the spring of 2015 as it was aligned to the Common Core standards. And along with that alignment came some shifts. And one of those was an increase or a decrease in items that were focused more at the recall basic application level, as well as an increase of items that were at that problem-solving, strategic thinking, and reasoning level. Another shift that occurred is that this was the first assessment that our students took that was administered not paper and pencil, but online. And then finally, it was the first assessment that we had in place that was adaptive in that it responded to student success. In also on this slide, I provided you with some basic information about who takes the CASP, as well as some timelines about the break in administration due to COVID. All right, next slide. So before I dive into the specifics of this slide, I want to provide the board with a little bit of an orientation in that this slide and the next 3 slides will include a comparison between the overall scores for VCUSD in comparison to some other groups, as well as providing a comparison between the results of 2019 and 2020-22. At the same time, one of the things that you'll be hearing as this data rolls out and is communicated more and more is that the state is really encouraging all of us to look at this data as baseline data. So whereas in previous years we've looked at both our growth rate as well as our status, we're really going to be focusing mostly on this in terms of our status, where we are, our baseline. However, for the purposes of this presentation, I've also included some comparison data just by way of providing the board with some context. So you're going to see that. So this current slide shows the overall results for English language arts and literacy for both VCUSD as well as the entire Solano County, so all of the students in Solano County. And it is representing those students that have met or exceed standard. And when you meet or exceed standard as a student, that's considered the bar that we're trying to get all of our students to cross. So that's our bar, that's our threshold, that's where we're pushing to get all students. If we go back and we put our attention on those black bars, the black bars that you see on the screen is our data for both the county and the district for 2020-22. You'll see that for VCUSD, we had just a little over 26% of our students that met that bar, that meeting and exceeding, which is, if you look at the graph, that's significantly lower than our county, and it's also significantly lower than what we would want for our students. If we move to the next slide, you're going to see similar information in the area of mathematics. So again, a comparison to the county, and again, focusing on that black bar, right above VCUSD, we had only very slightly over 17% of our students that reached that bar. So again, not the result that, not where we want to be, and certainly not where we intend to stay. Okay, next slide. As another point of comparison, what we did is we used our analytics software, and we identified 3 districts that were similar to VCUSD in terms of our student demographics, in terms of our size, in terms of our economic status, and our setting in terms of urban or rural setting. And we provided the data, and this particular slide shows that comparison in the area of English language arts and literacy. And again, it's looking at those students that met that bar. And you'll see that on this slide, VCUSD is towards the lower end of the continuum of where those similar districts were in the area of ELA. And then if we go to the next slide, which is again, which is mathematics. And again, these are the same districts. Districts A, B, and C in both ELA and math are the same districts. You'll see that in the area of mathematics, VCUSD is more at the upper end of the continuum. But at the same time, all of these numbers are extremely low. And so we have a long ways to go before we can celebrate. All right, I'm going to shift a little bit on the next slide. The data that we've been talking about previously is overall data, all of the students that took the CASP test, all the grade levels, all of the student groups. I want to share a little bit of a breakdown about what the data look like when we break it down by grade level as well as by our student groups. So let's look at those arrows and talk a little bit about what they mean. The green arrows show the number of either our grade levels or our student groups that showed an increase or some growth. And the red arrows are either our grade levels or our student groups that showed a decline. And what I wanted to share with the board about both, and it applies to both grade levels and student groups, is that the levels of growth and decline, there were no large swings. So just as you saw the difference between 2019 and 2022, just like a difference of a few percentage points, when we're talking about the levels of growth and the levels of decline, they were, again, only a few percentage points, and in no cases more than about a 5 percentage point variance. And then if we go to the next slide, this is, again, ELA, and you'll see a very similar pattern, that for the most part, other than a few grade levels that had that slight increase, slight growth, the other grade levels and all of our subgroups showed that dip. And again, same pattern as language, as math. No big upswings and no big downturns, but a pretty steady pattern across our grade levels and our subgroups. And if we were to look not at who gained or who lost ground, but if we were to look at what does it look like in terms of status, how our grade levels did and how our subgroups did, none of our grade levels or our subgroups, when we're looking at crossing that bar, even our very highest student groups were, none of them were over 50%. So we're still looking at across the board a need to really get more of our students over that bar. Moving to the next section. So what are we going to do about it? What are our next steps? In reality, we weren't waiting for the results from this assessment to start planning and implementing what we were going to do. We knew that previous to the pandemic, we weren't satisfied with where our CASP results were, and we would have been foolish to assume that we were going to get dramatic improvements after on the first administration after the pandemic. So we were assuming that we were going to press forward and put some things in place that were going to change the trajectory for the outcomes for our students. So I want to briefly share with you some of the things that we've put in place. And this first slide represents that back in June, the district leadership team began studying Fullen and Quinn's coherence framework. And you see an you see an overview of that on the slide that's in this, that's on the screen. Each time the district leadership team has come together, we go back and we look at this framework, we study it, and we have discussions about how we as leaders in the district are focusing in these 4 areas: focus, collaboration, accountability, and learning. How we're focusing every day in our daily work, boots on the ground, in putting those things in place across our system. Next slide. The second thing we've done that really aligns to this idea of coherence is we've prioritized within each of 3 areas: academics, behavior, and social emotional learning, which things we're going to put the majority of our focus on this year. And so within that circle, you can see not only the larger areas, but also some of the key strategies that we will be pressing in on within each of the 3 areas. And I think that you will see quite a bit of alignment between what's on this slide and our strategic plan that was just approved this evening. Within each of these, within everything that's within that circle, as we make decisions, as we implement, as we are thinking about each piece of that work, we're approaching it with the lens of equity and inclusion. So that's something that is a piece of every discussion that we have within each of those areas. And then finally, you'll notice the piece around the commitment to the use of data that's sort of driving and enveloping the whole circle, as is that we will commit to using data to measure our success in each of these areas. And then last slide, all levels working together. Finally, what we've done is we've strengthened our structures for the leadership teams at each level of our system. And you'll see at the top, we have the superintendent's cabinet and governing board, but I'm talking about the levels that are underneath that. So we have put strengthened structures in place around district and site leadership teams that include administrators, teachers, and support staff. And these leadership teams at every level from administration to teacher teams are the teams that will be driving this work. And those teams are using tools that we have been working on. We're in the beginning of our 3rd year. We'll be using the tools of improvement science to drive our work. And those teams, since they are at all levels, are also our strategy for making sure that what we're putting in place is reaching every school, every teacher, every student, because that's the only way that we're going to move the dial on, move the lever on that achievement level. So that's what I had.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Summers. Can we get the other, there was another document that was attached to this that I want to just show the board briefly.
I have my light on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Trustee Fox.
I have 2 questions. The first one, when looking at this data, I definitely need a lot more information. Last year was the first year back from COVID, in person, last full year. And these results are from tests taken in May, correct? So last year, at the beginning of last year, we were shocked with how many parents wanted their students on distance learning. And we scrambled to try to find teachers to teach and keep students on distance learning. I would like to know, with these results, what is the breakdown of in-person, the students that returned that took these CAS tests? And what's the breakdown of the students who are on distance learning that took those CAS tests? Because that would be a huge discrepancy between the scores. The other thing is, before that, before we hit COVID, our lowest performing subgroup was our second language learners, our ELs. They were in the orange or the red. And when you went over the academics and talked about equity and inclusion, I need to know specifically, since they were the lowest before we hit COVID, and I'm sure COVID didn't help, how are we addressing, supporting those lowest ones that were before COVID and going forward with our EL students? What specific plans and strategies are being used to address those students? The how. So those are my two things that I need a lot more information on. I don't agree that the state we had to do this, because I had to give this last year too, in May. And it was very hard for students that just came back from being on distance learning. So to me, there's a discrepancy with the scores in the whole state. But within Vallejo, those are the questions I need to have clarification on. In-person versus distance learning. And then specifically, how are we addressing going forward our ELs that were behind before COVID? Those are the 3 points I need information on. Thank you.
Those are excellent questions, actually. And I think we could do some of that work on to kind of disaggregate the data. I just want to show you something kind of briefly, and I don't want to get everybody super focused on these numbers because I don't want to get in the business of comparing school to school, and because I think there's a tendency sometimes when you see performance gaps that you start to go, well, what's wrong with that school that's not doing as well? And I don't want to do that, and I don't want to blame anybody. I don't want to blame teachers. I don't want to blame kids. I don't want to blame administrators. I don't want to blame principals. But you've seen from me, and I guess I want to say some things personally as your superintendent. You've seen from me some information, and Sherry did a really nice job of kind of giving us the context. And, kind of what we've seen, in the articles that have been coming out as these CASP results have been, have they been slowly trickling out because the state still won't release them, but a lot of the big districts are, and we just did. But you're seeing, the damage that was done by the pandemic. But personally, as your superintendent, while I take maybe a little bit of solace in that, I'm still unhappy. I knew in my core that when you try to test kids on the backside of the experience that we've all experienced through COVID and pandemic and sending kids home and Chromebook-based education, then coming back to kids who hadn't been in a classroom, some of them, and immediately taking a bunch of tests. But it doesn't make me feel a lot better because I know we weren't doing what we should be doing before. I know that we weren't happy with our with our results, prior to COVID. And so for me, I was sharing this with Sherry the other day. We were both kind of looking at this, and it kind of hits you in the chest. And for me, I said, I feel like we've been on this climb, going up a mountain, and we got to get to the top of the mountain. When we talk about the number of kids that are proficient and getting everybody up there. And as you're going on this climb of the mountain, suddenly there's a snowstorm and there's ice, and then we slide down the mountain. And now we have, now we're 200 feet back down the mountain, and then we have to keep going up the mountain, and we need to keep going back up the mountain. And so something that we've talked about internally is, and what I think Sherry's done a really good job of is kind of giving you an overview of a lot of what we've been doing in the last several months around the science of improvement and around the coherence framework. We're working with Wendy DeVood, who's our consultant, who's building our capacity with our school site leadership teams. We're starting to scale back all the different task forces and getting everybody much more focused on academic outcomes. We're doing the learning walks, which we haven't done in a number of years. We used to do things called instructional rounds. So we're getting back into the business, even with the challenges, even coming out of COVID, even out of some of the other challenges we're seeing with social emotional learning and kids and struggles and pressures and strains and stresses on kids and families. But we still have to keep moving this needle. When we say, as a school district, and we tell everybody that we're going to have equitable outcomes, or equitable opportunities, equitable outcomes, that's going to show up. That's got to show up on these numbers. When we say that we're gonna have vibrant teaching and learning, that's gotta show up on these numbers, and that's what we have to do. So you'll see, one of the things that is interesting to me, and you look across, and again, I don't want you to get focused on a particular school sites, but if you look at the top 2 rows versus the bottom 2 rows, the top 2 rows are where you wanna be, percentage standards met and percentage standards exceeded. And the bottom 2 rows is where you don't want to be. First of all, the bottom 2 rows, as far as we're all concerned, are too high. But the other thing you see is when you look at the top 2 rows is there's a lot of variability. There are schools that are having success, and then there's schools that aren't. And we want to get really focused on, how do we lift all boats? How do we get to the schools that aren't having that success and turn that around and get them on the trajectory going the right way? I think that we're on to the right kinds of practices in this district to get this thing going, but we want to do better, and we want to engage this board in the work that we're doing. I think part of, reporting on our progress on the strategic plan is reporting on a regular basis on our progress in academic achievement. And part of that is, you've heard the word, you've heard the test that we use, NWEA. It's a national, a very strongly normed national test that its claim to fame is really its predictive qualities as we administer that to kind of learn where kids are going to land in CASP. And so if we're administering that, near the beginning of the year, and we already have, that tells like, ooh, here's a kid who's doing well. Ooh, here's a kid who's not. And that gives us the opportunity to inform our instruction and work on that. We're going to administer it again, I believe, in another month or so, or is it January? February, sorry about that. And then we administer it again at the end of the year. So this gives us regular opportunities to see how we're doing, and as Dr. Young says many times, monitor and adjust. And that, I think we're gonna have that opportunity, and we're gonna include you in that, so that we're spending more time in these meetings talking about our academic progress. And no excuses, making the progress. I know it's, I think you all know, I've said this sometimes before, we don't get to 100% proficient by Tuesday, but we need to start moving. And even if we are in the same boat as everybody else in the state, that boat is sinking, and we need to bail it out, and we need to get that boat righted, and we need to be moving in the direction we want to move. And so that's my commitment, that's Sherry's commitment, that's Mike's commitment, that's a commitment of this cabinet and our leadership. And I think that we are engaging in the right work behind it. But you'll hear more things about the coherence framework. You'll hear more things about the science of improvement. We've trained every principal on the science of improvement. We are training cabinet now for those who didn't get the first set of training before. We're training teacher leaders. We want the science of improvement to be the way the vehicle we use in this district to deal with our problems, and to look at what are the root causes of the struggles that we're having, what are the kinds of things we can use to leverage those, and how we can make progress and how we can improve progress. Because now that we're sending out a strategic plan that makes a lot of promises, and I think they're good promises, folks are going to be watching. Folks are going to be watching. And so and I think you all know that. I know that, and you all know that. But so sorry for, kind of a long-winded editorial, but, I wanted you to see some of this. The variance we really need to work on. We need to make sure all boats are rising, not just some. Then we need to look at who's having success and how are they having it and why. Instructional walkthroughs helps us with that a lot. We see at the school level what's going on. Are we working with kids at high levels of thinking or rote levels of thinking? And it's not meant to be punitive, it's not to be finger wagging, but it's meant to say, okay, we got to work on the professional development here. We got to work on, the grading structures at, at some schools. We got to work with teachers, develop their capacity so that we can get all boats rising. So that's my speech. More to come. And I think we were going to bring something on the first administration of NWEA. And Trustee Fox, you asked some really good questions about how to disaggregate that data that I think we can pursue and bring some answers to you. So anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent Spalding. Trustee Ubaldi.
No, I'm not never have been an administrator in K-12. And I'm just wondering how President Groves and Vice President Christie and Dr. Young feel about this. Because I've been in 12 years, 13 years. I have not seen the kind of projection that is tremendous improvement. I would like to be proud and stand tall out there when I feel responsible for same. It seems like we're just going the same level. I don't see the dip, but I don't see the up either. And this has been going on for a long, long time. And why are those consistently, we have the same school producing such high achievers? And the other schools, I mean, are we putting, excuse my ignorance here, are we only putting good administrators and good teachers in one schools? And they're succeeding, and I don't even know how to ask the right question. But I'm not very pleased with what I just saw just now. I was hoping that, and I tell people, I've been around and, I sense improvement, but today I did not see that. And I'm just wondering, I would get better understanding if my colleague who are administrators can help me understand. I need to take time to really understand what I just saw. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ubaldi. Trustee Gardner.
Thank you, President Gross. One thing that I'm very pleased to see, and I didn't expect the scores to be any better than they were, quite frankly, because they weren't good to begin with, and everyone declined. So, I mean, they were really no surprise. But what I am hopeful is that with the adoption of the NWEA, that program or that process has worked in many schools, and I know that when I was in the charter school division, most of the elementary schools that I dealt with and some of the middle schools, they did the NWEA, and their performance increased, and a couple of those schools were in Compton. So I know that it works if the teachers are doing their job and looking at those results and having it inform their instruction, so that they know exactly what Johnny needs and exactly what Sally needs based on what their past performance is. I think that it's great that we were doing instructional rounds or basically walkthroughs. I'm hoping that teachers are involved in these and teachers are relieved from their duties in the classroom so that they can go to other classrooms and see what other teachers are doing. I'm hopeful that the pilot that we're doing at Federal Terrace for the PLCs will spread out, so all of the elementary schools and particularly the teachers, the core teachers at the high school will engage in some of the professional learning communities, because those work if the teachers are discussing things. And NWEA at the elementary level gives you a perfect example or a vehicle to use to really discuss student achievement and what the students need. And I know that it works at the PLCs work at the 9th grade level if you have all core teachers and they talk about they have to share students. So there are a lot of things I think that we're finally starting to implement that we should see results, and we should see positive results. And if we don't, then we need to do something about weeding out teachers in the first couple years that aren't making growth, that aren't stepping up to the plate and and doing what they need to do to really nurture the kids. And I think that, and I'm not out in the classroom that much, but when I was an administrator, I was out in the classroom, and it really makes a difference when you see the teachers teaching and you have one-on-ones in them, and if they have an opportunity to go and see how other teachers teach, to improve and step up their game. Because if we're not giving students what they need, and that's the whole equity issue, what each individual student needs, there's no way that we're going to improve our achievement. We won't know what students need until we analyze the NWEA, until we analyze the test scores, until we look at something and we inform our teaching based on the performance of our students. And we have to do that on a religious basis every day. And I know that most of our teachers do, and those that do not, we really have to use that tenure process, the 2 years, in our new teachers. And I know that, I don't mean to sound harsh, I just think that, everybody, we're dying here. And we're suffering from declining enrollment, and I can guarantee that it's not just safety, it's also our achievement levels. People don't want to send their kids to Vallejo schools because of their achievement levels. The strategic plan is the foundation for a start, and we really, every one of us in the classroom, every one of us on the staff, every one of us from the custodian up to the superintendent needs to always be focused on student achievement and mental health, the whole thing. So I'm sorry if I went on too long, but I have great hopes for the district if the tools that we are implementing in the classroom are monitored on a regular basis, and then we learn from what we're doing, and then we step up our game. Thank you.
And thank you, Vice President Gardner. We have, let's see, Trustee Fox? Yeah.
Thank you. Before the pandemic hit, yes, we were having trouble with our scores, and we were looking at how to focus on our students, our subgroups that were not meeting where we wanted to, and we were making plans, especially for our ELs, and that's why I want to see that continue. I feel these scores are not fair. Not only not fair, they don't represent. They're not representative and they're not fair. The pandemic that we came out of, that's not fair to our staff. It's not fair to our students. I think it's a disgrace, actually. Because the students that were through the pandemic, if they already were having struggles, and then they were shoved on a computer for a year, they didn't really have the engagement or the education they needed, and they were already struggling. So that already impeded them even more. Then last year, we came back, and I know because I was in the classroom every day, the students came back in, social emotional issues, anxiety, just trying to be back in a classroom. Teachers afraid about getting COVID and being out with COVID. Kids being out with COVID for a month. How can you assess people when the gaps in their learning last year were so out of our hands as a district, any district? These scores are not representative of any of our students or staff. Our staff went through so much work trying to just figure out, for me, for third graders, how do you hold a pencil? How do you use a pair of scissors? How do you sit in a chair? How do you line up? Because they were taken out in kindergarten. They missed so much time with this pandemic. So I think we need to keep this in perspective. These scores to me are not representative. And I think it's, again, a disgrace. We should not put it on our teachers or our students. Both of them deserve better than that. They've been through, hell with this pandemic like the rest of us. And I think we need to come out of the pandemic and find the correct resources and keep giving them interventions, meet them where they're at, and try to bring them up to the grade level standards the best we can. So I just wanted to bring this back down, that we shouldn't put people down for the pandemic. It's not their fault. None of our fault. And we can't blame them for low test scores. It's not their fault. And our teachers had to work twice as hard. So did all of our staff have to work twice as hard. Our administrators had to work twice as hard to try to find out, oh, let me get you COVID testing kits. If you're going to be home, can I bring this to you? Or, oh, your child hasn't been in school, but all these tests you're missing. All these gaps in their learning. Oh, we need to hold the IEP. Oh, we're late on the IEP. We're late on the 504, but we can't get you at our school to perform these things. The picture is so grand. I think people need to look at the whole picture, not a little CAS score. I don't even want to look at them. They're useless. And the stress it put on just my third graders that have to take it the first time, the stress they had, and the pressure they had, that's not fair. Yes, we need to have some way of keeping track of grades and how you're performing. And yes, certain school sites have better results. But again, let's keep coming out of this pandemic. Let's keep doing best practices. Let's have a positive mindset. Let's get the strategic plan implemented with the best tools and strategies we can. And let's go forward so that the next few years our students are more prepared with the skills and tools they need so they can be successful on the CAS, which we all must take. So anyways, I just wanted to share that as a little perspective as someone who's on the front line every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Fox. Superintendent Spalding.
Just to respond to some of the comments and questions I've heard, down the dais, and it's one of the reasons that I talked initially that I didn't want to blame a school and I didn't want to blame teachers or students or administrators. It just is, so what we have is a snapshot in time. I think that Sherry did a nice job of showing, the context that we're in. And, there are all kinds of reasons why we've dropped, just like, many others. But I do think that we need to be attentive to this, in the long term. If this is in fact a baseline year, we're going to want better than this, at the end of this year. I think the NWEA is a good tool for us to utilize. I think, when we had the strategic planners last year, they talked a little bit about different forms of data, the satellite data, which is this, but also, also the street data, other things. So it's one piece of the picture, but it's one that I think we need to be attentive to, and I don't think we should beat ourselves up about it necessarily, but I think it's a charge to us to, to kind of keep moving forward and to really get the very best we can out of the things that we're doing, our initiatives and our training, and our leadership on this. The other thing too, I think it's important to understand too, is NWEA is really kind of new to us, actually. This is, I think, the second year of administration that we've done that, so it's not like we've had years and years and years of it. So I think that's gonna tell us more too. But what I wanted to do, and commit to this board is to make this progress, to show the progress, to tell you about what we're doing, and to be very clear and to be very honest about where we're headed, and to be able to live out this strategic plan with this as one of the measures. But I would agree, Trustee Fox. I mean, it's not the whole picture. We just honored a gentleman who's a graduate of Hogan High School, who is a Rear Admiral in the United States Navy, and he's not the last one. Not the last naval officer to come out of this school district. And we have a number of other people who have gone on to great universities, HBCUs, the University of California, sent somebody to Dartmouth last year. So you're right. I mean, this isn't the entire picture. But when you see those numbers, at least from my perspective, I want to get those numbers up. I just really want to be able to offer those opportunities to all kids. And that's my commitment. So it wasn't meant to, I didn't mean to start a fire, but I did want to share my commitment and my concern, that we need to keep moving. And I think we're on the right track. We're getting a lot of support from the outside. We have, people who are coming in, people who have been brought to us from the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence, and they're very much involved in our work. And inform our work quite a bit, bring us a lot of resources. And that's something that we're gonna, put a lot of time and emphasis in. I don't know that we always talk about it here, because there's so many other things going on, but we need to. So anyways, that's kind of my final words on that.
Well, thank you, Superintendent Spalding. Okay, next, were there any other comments on this? Sorry. Okay, then, thank you, Ms. Summers, and we will move on to Dr. Patrick with some more news about certificated personnel.
Yes, thank you, President Gross. This is just what I think is some positive news. We had 22 teachers who are now permanent tenured teachers, so this is just a information item. We just wanted to provide that information for you to acknowledge. These are our teachers that started with us as pre-interns, that they had nothing. And they stuck it with it, and they went through a credential program, and they received support and coaching, and now they are tenured in our system. So we're really happy to welcome them, and we just wanted you to have that information as well.
Thank you. Board have any questions, comments? Nothing? Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dr. Patrick. Okay, next, from our business director, Rosa.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening,
Evening.
President Cross, Superintendent, Board of Trustees. I'm just bringing to you, before you, an informational item. Every year, under Educational Code 41321, any school district that is under receivership, that has received emergency apportionment or have an estate loan, is required by this particular code, educational code, to each year until we paid off the loan, to present a financial status of the district. This is presented to our trustee, and therefore, for his consideration and approval, he will review and approve the report. All of this, all of the information that is within the report attached to the agenda includes the budget, the adopted budget for last year, and every single, and information for every single financial reporting that it was presented to you. This once-a-year report is a requirement, like I say, for the districts that are under receivership, and therefore is presented to you as an information item. I am open for any questions.
Questions, Rosa? None? Okay, then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now,
I was wondering, President Gross, if maybe we're shifting to a big portion of this agenda, but we've had a big meeting already. I'm wondering if maybe we could recess for a few minutes and move some furniture around and.
5 is enough? Okay.
Whatever
So
Rhonda says.
5-minute recess.